Mayor Pro Tem, can we also inform the public, I know we've talked about this, what dollar-wise? Yes, I'm sorry, thought I was. I could hear myself. Can we tell the public what that actually translates over to into dollars, like per $1,000? I know we talked about that when we had the meetings about that, but I think it was something like $40 on every 1,000. But I'm trying to put it to where people can understand what this difference is going to make.
Yeah.
City manager, do you know those numbers?
No, I think he was talking about, you gave an example of what if you had
Oh, yeah.
$100,000 house, it would translate into.
Yeah, I don't have those numbers with me at the moment. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Folks at home can't hear, by the way.
Okay, so we've, the commission, need to know what y'all would like to do.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion, to approve the 4.3 millage rate. Again, and I want to say this because I'm a taxpayer here as well. No one likes paying more taxes, or this isn't really even, well, we won't go there. No one likes paying more of their money to anything, okay, that they don't necessarily want to enjoy themselves. And I'm right there in that same boat, okay? I'm a level-headed person, but I think anybody that was here in the aftermath of 2018, it ran through your mind, there's going to be a tax increase that's going to have to take place following this disaster at some point. Last year, of course, we did not move anything because of the disaster, and everybody was in such a hard place. Not saying that people are not in a hard place now, but again, as a city, because we also hear everybody wanting stormwater fixed and wanting all these things fixed, well, that takes money. In order to do that, we're trying to keep it to the least amount of money that we have to spend. I'm a small government conservative, always will be. I think government needs to stay out of the way most of the time and everything works better. But this is part of the job, and this comes with having a city, being able to afford what it is we all need to do. So I'll make the motion, and I'll leave it at that.
We have a motion.
I'll second the motion, and I'd also like to say that it's been 2 years, real soon, since the storm, and I went through it too, and I know we sustained from raising the millage rate last year, and we talked about it at length then, that it would have to be raised this year, and it's just it's been raised in other parts of the county, and it's just a hard fact to face. I don't like it either, but we have to move forward. We actually lowered our tax base from the storm, so this is in some ways it's a makeup, but it's come late and it's come later than it should have. So in that respect, I'll second it and we'll move on.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Ms. Tender?
I would just like to say that I think there's a lot of places that we can tighten our belt. We've just spent the last couple hours going over budgets to the tune of 57 million or something like that. Yeah, I'm not for raising taxes, but I think that we can look at a lot of different ways to tighten things up. Thank you.
And the comment I would like to make to everybody is please remember, we're not voting this on you. We're voting this on us. We live here too. We're citizens. We're going to pay the same millage rate that you pay. So this is not something that we're forcing you to pay and we're not paying. I'd also like to point out that, everybody talks about Lynn Haven having the highest property taxes in the county. If the proposed millages go forward like they're stipulating right now, Panama City is looking at 6.6201. Mexico Beach is looking at 8.0. So there's two municipalities that are going to have a higher property tax than we do in Lynn Haven. You also need to remember, Panama City collects a sales tax. So in addition to the property tax, they also get a half-cent sales tax that Lynn Haven doesn't collect. So you've got to look at the whole picture when you try to decide, whether we're raising taxes and the reasons we're raising the taxes. And we have a budget we've been working on for the last hour and a half. We've been here going over it, trying to see where we can, make numbers work. But please understand, we live here, and we're raising our taxes too. Nobody wants taxes raised, but there comes a point when the city has to do something to create the income so that the city can operate. That being said, we've got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion with the public? None. City Manager, you please call the roll.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Parno,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell.
Yes. Moving on to, wait a minute, okay, don't close the public hearing just yet, so moving on to item B, tentative government funds and enterprise fund and disaster recovery fund budget for fiscal year 2020-2021. Is there any public comment? Yes, sir.
I was looking at the past budgets, Jameson work, by the way. I was looking at the past budgets, and one of the ones I noticed that there was a disaster recovery bond for $31.8 million. Is that getting paid off once we get FEMA reimbursements, or are we just making minimum payments until so many years it takes to pay off?
We have been making payments on that. We just had it from last year, so our first payment was due, I think, this year. And we have budgeted in there 1.9 million. But as soon as the money for FEMA continues to come in, we'll take some of that and pay it off, and then some of it to rebuild.
When do we project that be paid off by?
We know that it'll probably be called in a couple of years. We're not real sure when that will be paid off. I know that we will not pay it all off. Our plan is to pay as much as we can and then go back in and refinance what's left over.
Okay. So, as we were talking about earlier with the millage rate, I mean, I understand the position we're in because of Hurricane Michael and that. But the thing that concerns me is when I look at the loans, bonds, notes, all the debt that we've taken on in this city, I think it's gotten out of control. I understand Hurricane Michael probably exacerbated it, but we've had this problem even before Hurricane Michael. And when I ran these numbers for the loan, for all the debt that we have, let's see, back in fiscal year 18, which would have been before Hurricane Michael, and you compare this to fiscal year 14. Fiscal year 14, we had $2.9 million in debt. Fiscal year 18, we had $37,800,000 debt. That's an increase of 1,207%. Now, if you speed up to where we are today, we're up, last fiscal year it was $67,784,000. And I think, I don't know what we're doing wrong, but we're doing something wrong as far as spending money. I don't know if it's mismanagement. I don't know if it's things that came up that just everything broke at one time. But I just think it's gotten out of control. And I don't know what we need to do about it, but we need to do something about it. I even looked at Callaway. I know Callaway's got lesser population than we do, but it's about $7,000 to $8,000 people less than us. They have $15 million debt. I think we can do a lot better than that, and so that's concerning to me. So I know Commissioner Tinder talked about tighten the belt. We definitely need to tighten the belt, and we need to look at areas that we have efficiencies and where we can save money. And we might have to make some hard decisions that we don't like, but we can't take on any more debt than we already have. Anytime we have a bond or anything, it's got to go in front of the commission, correct? So whenever that happens, we need to really think long and hard about that. Thank you.
Sir, I would like to mention something to you, and I don't know the exact numbers, but I do know one of the bonds was taking out to do the road work the repaving, and that was taken out directly against the half-cent infrastructure tax that we were getting back.
Right, correct.
So that infrastructure tax is paying off that bond.
I
The
understand.
31 million, I mean, who could account for Hurricane Michael? You know,
Okay.
I mean, that's,
That leaves another 32 million left.
yes, sir. I'm aware of that. Yes, sir.
And Callaway was able to do it with 15 million. Now, like I said, I know they're a smaller community, so yeah, they're not going to have as much debt as we have, but that's a substantial difference.
Yes, sir.
So I understand. Look, I understand that Hurricane Michael put us in a bad predicament, but I think if we would have had the foresight back then to prepare for something like this, it would have been a different situation. I mean, do we have a 5-year plan when we look out 5 years and what we where we want to be at and what's projected the expenditures and things like that going to be? Do we have that?
Yes, we do. And we are working together, and I don't think if Kiki's in here, but we have a plan to actually pay off the debt, if you want to come and speak to that. Because one of the things with us even being a little bit new is the fact that we have a lot of debt. And if you notice in our budget this year, there are no loans. There are absolutely no loans in there, except for what we're paying off.
Right.
In the past years, there have been. And so we are doing a pay-as-we-go now, and that means that, did we push a lot of things back? Go and ask our public utilities director and our public works director. Yes, there were a lot of things they could not do this year that they would have done under some other program where you could get loans from. So we do have a plan in place to get this debt down.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. I know I took a lot of your time, but I appreciate
Mayor
it.
Pro Tem, if
Thank
I could
you.
also speak to kind of tightening the belt. You know, I know we're, things like mowing in-house, these are things we have discussed for the last year. And one of the reasons we did that, again, was to not try to have to contract out. We ran the numbers looking at, you know, the guys that we had contracted with in the past, and we put our heads together and said, look, we can do this. We can get some lawnmowers, and we have the guys that can do this. So we are looking at that. It's the reason I tell you that. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Walker?
Yeah, Rich Walker again. I'm not going to rub salt in the wound, but before Hurricane Michael, we had Michael.
Mr. Walker, this is, it is related to the budget item.
I know.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
We did a tremendous amount of renovations to this city. Everybody asked me, where did we get the money? Nobody could figure it out. But that was Michael 1, okay? All that was destroyed, and now we have to do it again. I've been told by this commission that because of what's going on in the world, and this deals with what's going on in the 7 to 10 investigations against this city, that FEMA might not and will not pay us. Now, I'd like to know if that's true.
You would have to ask somebody that's doing the investigation. And I would like to qualify your statement. Those investigations are not against the city. They're against people that have taken advantage of the city.
Okay, all right. Employees, and elected officials of the city. Okay, not the city. But my question is this, and it was answered by this commission, that the question was, because of this, will we get our payments from FEMA? And now, I'll bring this into this. I contacted a former city manager of this city, and he told me before the hurricane that you better dot your I's and cross your T's, because if there's any fraud connected to the payments, FEMA will not pay.
Mr. Walker, I'm gonna bring you back to the subject. We're
Okay.
talking about the budget,
But
okay?
that's in what we're correcting here and trying to figure out. He mentioned the budget, he mentioned things that we make, mistakes we made, okay? I'm just letting it, but you're still not answering my question.
That's because I don't have the ability to answer that question, sir. FEMA and the FBI are gonna have to answer those questions.
Okay. And the person that said it didn't have the right to say that.
I'm not sure who you were talking about, sir.
This commission. The
Again-
question was asked, and it was turned over to one of the persons. And when the question's asked of this commission, if one of you answer it, you all are backing it. And that question was asked to you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I called, yeah, again, I'm transparent as ever. Called FEMA, talked to our people that deal with us all the time, and they told us, yes, that is a strong possibility.
Thank you very much.
That's all I have, though. Yes, sir.
Mayor Pro Tem, also, just to let everyone realize too, FEMA has paid us $19 million, and they still owe us another $13 million. Those projects are moving through. These are project-based, building-based projects that we can rebuild our city. So I've not heard that in the sense that they're going to stop us from rebuilding our city because of something that someone else has done.
Any other public comment? Yes, sir.
I'd like to add. Hello, my name is Greg Blank. I live over in Miller Bayou. It's actually more of a request, I don't know, because it seems like everybody's got their mind made up. You were talking 4.3%, and I guess that's what I'm seeing on my taxes. Can we meet somewhere in the middle, like maybe a lower tax increase if it was proposed? Because I know a lot of people in this room realize that we do have to raise our taxes, but that just seems really steep. That's all I have.
I will let you know that this is a tentative vote. We will have to vote on it again. If we reduce the number now, we can increase the number later. We can always reduce the number. So at the next workshop, if you come and we decide to reduce it, we can reduce it. But if we drop it to 3.9 now, we can't go back to 4.2. So, but there is an option for us to reduce it. If I am stating that correctly, right? So, I mean, this is just the first vote. There will be another vote before it's finalized. So, is there any other public comment? Yes, Ms. Arlene, I'm not sure. I know, I'm not.
Arlene Harris.
Harris, thank you.
This is actually not quite on what you're talking about, but I can't pull this up on YouTube, and it keeps saying it's going to be in 5 minutes. It'll the live meeting will come, and I have another. It is, yeah. Then I'm technically challenged here, and the other thing is how is the public commentary, is the public being able to make a comment? Because it has been turned off in previous meetings.
Yes, Ryan is shaking his head as yes, and
Okay.
yes, there are.
That's what I wanted
Yes.
to know. Okay, I didn't know. I'm technically challenged. And please speak into the mic for people at home.
Is there any other public comment about this item? Hearing none, I would, I'm sorry?
Do we have a
No, actually, City Manager, would you please read the resolution?
Yes. A resolution of the City of Lynn Haven, Bay County, Florida, adopting the tentative budget for fiscal year 2020-21, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, City Manager. And what is, okay, we have a motion?
So moved.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, City Manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell.
Yes. Thank you. Item passes. Okay, let's see. Time 6:25. All right, so now we can move on to little, not necessarily quite so serious issues. Been a busy couple of weeks. I dealt with stuff with the city manager, obviously with different things, and I'm trying my best to figure out stormwater issues. Trying to see, and budget issues, obviously with the budget. I'm not going to go into full detail with this because it's going to be a long meeting, so I'll skip to the city manager report. Commissioner Tender?
I have no report either. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Aldridge?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Same thing as what I think everybody else has been involved in, getting emails pertaining to stormwater issues with the rain that we got, and working on this budget. Again, we want to make sure that we're being good stewards of everybody's money, but other than that, I have no further report.
Mr. Perno?
I just have a lot of comments from citizens over our last meetings and our special meetings. I would like to thank all of our city employees who worked on the holiday, all of our first responders, all over the county, and I'd like to thank Mr. Miller for a lovely invocation, and that's it on my report.
Thank you. Before we switch to the city manager's report, I do want to mention one thing. I received my first warrant list last week, which, if you're not familiar with that term, that's what the city calls the list of checks that are due to be written. It's a process. I get to review it, the city manager reviews it, budget director reviews it to make sure that the checks are correct before they're sent out. I received my first one Thursday, and had some questions. There was a couple of larger checks on there that I questioned about, and there were a couple of vendors that I didn't recognize the names of. Well, I want to let you know you don't have to worry about your budgeting department and their information, because 5 questions got me an email with 108 pages on it. So, I mean, it impressed me, the background of information they sent me, from the contract to the invoices to the department emails back and forth about the invoices. They provided me so much background detail, it was almost undaunting to have to go through it. So for that, I want to thank the Budget and Finance Department for their thoroughness, and want to let you know that I think they're doing their job like they should. That being said, City Manager, would you please have your
Yes.
report?
Financial update, that would be our Deputy Finance Director. You asked us to give you any checks that were written over 35,000. We decided to go 25,000. And so we have a list of checks that have been written for that amount. If you have any questions, you can ask those questions now.
It appears there's no questions.
Thank you, Kiki. Couple other updates, some good stuff. 9/11 is coming up, and we know because of COVID, we do have some restrictions. But we came up with something a little bit different this year. I went to both chiefs, and said, is it possible for us to do something for 9/11 so we can show solidarity, unity, show that we still remember? And the 2 chiefs immediately said yes. And so what we decided to do was a memorial drive for 9/11. And we'll start out at the fire station, both fire and police. We'll start there, and they will go up 77, make a circle around Sheffield Park, and then at that very moment of 9/28, they will turn off their sirens, and everyone will show a moment of silence. We ask that you come out and join us, social distance, come out to Sheffield Park as they ride up 77, come around, and just be a part of that. We'll have, I think, some color guards that will face 77, but we just want to remember we live in a great country, and what we've gone through in the many years here, I think it's just appropriate to do that. So we ask that you join us for that. Next, the food truck. The Food Truck Friday is going really well. Thank you for all those that have been coming out. I've seen you out and enjoying Food Truck Friday. Our vendors are having a really, really good time. I think it's been very, very successful, and we hope you enjoyed that. And lastly, any check that I write to any of the vendors, particularly haulers or contractors that are Hurricane Michael related, I always bring those before you. And I do have a check here for $53,478.51. That is for Tetra Tech, and remember they handle all our HMGP, they handle all our consulting, they handle the Ppdr side of what the city is working on with that project. So I just want to bring it to your attention, and if anyone would like to look at any of the invoices that are with this check, you're more than welcome to do so. That is my report.
Thank you, City Manager. City Attorney, you got a report for us?
Just a couple of things, Mayor Pro Tem. 1800 Country Club Drive, on code enforcement, we have a settlement agreement approved and ready to go. And it also provides for an amended final order, and that'll come up on the docket for the September 16th code enforcement hearing for the special magistrate to enter if he approves. Pennsylvania Avenue, the property purchase, we're very close to a closing date on that. Title search and title work is all done. Finalizing the architectural agreements with the city manager's help. And Mr. Sorcy, I don't know if, there you are. Joe, thank you for coming. And that's all I have for the moment.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And let's move on to public commentary. Does anybody got anything for the public? Yes, ma'am.
Christy McElroy, Port St. Joe, Florida. I'm here and have been here because of your ex-city attorney. And I'm going to enter into the record tonight what was written in Sunday's paper about the city attorney and the 14 different companies with Company A, which according to this article, allegedly is GAC. The reason I bring this up is because your attorney came to our neighborhood, Gulf County. He became our city attorney. He also became magistrate for Gulf County. He was doing those two jobs in overlap, which you would think that would be a conflict of interest. Many of us that are city residents didn't know that Mr. Albritton was also magistrate for the county. He also entered into a business with our county attorney, which is Mr. Jeremy Novak. That was called Constitution Title. Interestingly enough, and this is where it kind of plays into you guys, you bought two pieces of property. One of them on Ohio and one of them, I believe, on Pennsylvania. When you bought that property, your attorney, Mr. Albritton, represented you. But that property also went through his company, Constitution Title, with Mr. Novak. It just irritates me to no end the bold and brazen actions of these people. Mr. Albritton, as a city attorney for Port St. Joe, a little bitty town, it's not a rich town, and for Gulf County, made pretty close to $320,000 in about 2.5 years, just part-time. His job as magistrate, he's making $6,350 just to show up. I'm going to put these things as well with your city manager. I hope that these investigations, and believe me, we've already got one kingpin in the ABCs of corruption because of some of his antics up in Tallahassee. And I hope it continues, because here's the thing. Politicians can make strange bedfellows. Public servants do not. And if I were y'all, since Mr. Albritton was able to make pretty close to $320,000, and you've got all these other things, y'all might want to think about suing him and getting some of your money back. I'm certainly thinking about it.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other public comment? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. Tony Bostic, Arbor Trace. Good afternoon, Mayor, Manager, and fellow commissioners. Madam Manager, I saw your comment from the last commission meeting, and you asked that everyone to come together as a city and as a community. And I agree that that is what is needed now, unity. Unity of thought, unity of action, and unity of purpose. I understand the state that the city is in, and everyone has noticed the fragmentation of this body, but I encourage each of you to support your city manager, to build her up and not tear her down. While being the lowest paid, she has the most heartache of any city manager in the county. Support her. It will be a win for all concerned. Madam Manager, I would like to take this opportunity to offer the city to be part of the first of its kind pilot program through Resilience America. A chance to add another tool to your toolbox in our common battle against the COVID-19 virus. Resilience America is in the process of launching the first sewage testing for COVID program in the nation. This is an attempt to track the virus and maybe contain its spread through the use of environmental testing. Currently, we have initial commitments from the cities of Springfield, Callaway, Panama City, and the Bay County Emergency Services, and we would like for you to be a part of this groundbreaking effort. Thank you for your attention and for hearing my appeal. May God crown your heads with wisdom to lead the city of Lynn Haven through this troubling time.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment? Okay, so we're going to move on.
It's-
Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Arlene, I didn't see you back there, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Albritton. Aldridge, I keep doing that.
Aldridge.
Just go ahead and slap me.
When documents are entered into the record, where are they entered into?
I usually put them with the minutes themselves because that's the minutes are official documents.
I was looking for something that Ms. McElroy would, put in last time, and I couldn't find it. But it must be there if you say so. And then the other question I have is, when did the RFQ go out for this city attorney?
It has not gone out yet.
Didn't we vote on that like weeks and weeks ago?
No, ma'am. It is actually on the agenda today.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there any other public comment? All right, so moving on to the consent agenda. Item number 10, minutes from the August 25th, 2020 regular meeting minutes and August 27th, 2020 special meeting minutes.
So moved.
We have a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Any public comment? City Manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell.
Yes. Approved. Old business, item number 11, discussion and a possible approval to extend city attorney Jeff Carter's contract until September the 30th, 2020. I believe the city manager has something to state about that.
Yes. We continue to work on some projects that are lingering with the city. And while and hopefully today, the decision will be made by the commission which way we will go. We will continue to work on those projects. But we know that we will need some additional time for the city attorney until something is decided permanently.
I'd make the motion to approve Attorney Jeff Carter's contract until September 30th of 2020.
We have a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion with the commission? Any discussion with the public? Hearing none. City Manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell.
Yes. Okay, moving on to item 12. Discussion and approval to put out an RFQ for a legal team for the city or solicit resumes for an in-house counsel. City Manager, I believe you got something you want to state about this too?
Legal firm.
We just need some direction, which way to go. And we are ready to put out an RFQ. Both city attorney and ourselves have some a preliminary RFQs that we're working on, but we just need to finalize those because that will determine the scope of our work.
Mayor Pro Tem, if I may.
Yes, ma'am.
I was very much in favor of doing an in-house attorney, and I've talked to a lot of residents in the last week, and one in particular, certainly she changed my mind, and everything that she said made perfect sense. That if we hire a firm, number one, we have that joint expertise of all those attorneys. Number two, if our attorney gets sick or would like to go on a vacation ever, we would automatically have a replacement. Those two things in itself, I would make a motion that we put out RFQs for a firm so that we can select from those.
And Commissioner Tender, I'd even add another one to that list, because I agree with you on both those points. I think they're very valid points. But the third point is that they're also untangling some mess from the past, things that have been left hanging, that were in the middle of, the legal process. So it takes more than one person to try to untangle that ball of yarn, so to speak. It takes more of a team. So I agree with you on that. And I would make the motion to approve for the RFQ to go out.
You mean second?
Or second, sorry. I didn't hear
So we
her.
have a motion and a second. Any other discussion with the commission?
I'd just like to say I agree also, Mayor Pro Tem. Another pigtail on what Commissioner Tender said is you get a council in there, and you hire them as your city attorney, and next thing you know, they need a secretary and a paralegal. Then you got a legal department. Then you're creating something that's a little more than what you all agreed to in the beginning. So I'm all about a firm, and a firm can supply a next man up if our lawyer goes down for any reason. And that's my train of thought from the beginning. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I know it's probably a little premature, but I'd like to state that I would love to see in the contract that there's something stipulated that they have to disclose any conflicts, and if they don't, we need to have some kind of penalty built into the contract if we determine that there is a conflict and they don't, state it. Okay.
I agree.
Being that, is there any other discussion with the commission? Any with the public? Yes, sir, Mr. Scray. Got your name right this time.
You did. Oh, and whoever takes notes for the meeting hasn't done it wrong in the minutes yet, so I'm impressed there. Ryan Scray, Missouri Avenue. So on this topic, with my background in contracts, one thing that concerns me with putting out an RFQ would be designing that RFQ and having our current city attorney be involved in that process, unless he's willing to recuse himself or any firm that he's doing business with. So I would just want to know if, are you intending to, go after any kind of RFQ? Or are you going to be even involved in the process of designing the RFQ?
I will be involved in the process with the city manager of drafting and getting the RFQ out. I would love to serve the city of Lynn Haven. It's been an honor to be with you guys for a short amount of time, but timing isn't right for me, and I don't think it's right for the city. And I agree with all the sentiment that's been echoed here today about a firm stepping in and taking over here. So to answer your question, yes, I will not be involved in seeking the position, but I'll help the city manager get the RFQ prepared.
Appreciate it. Do you work for any firms that may be also pursuing this opportunity?
No, I have my own law firm, and I handle storm claims separately on the side with the Merlin Law Group.
Perfect. Thank you for clarifying those concerns. I appreciate it.
You're
Yes,
very
sir.
welcome.
Any other public comment? Yes, sir.
So, I'm uneducated on what an RFQ is. Is that where you put it out for like a bid, I
So,
guess?
well, actually, for legal services, we can't go out for bid. We have to ask for qualifications, and then they're ranked based on their qualifications and brought before the commission.
So do we know how much we're gonna pay them, or is that afterwards?
That's a negotiation.
That's a
after-
negotiation.
Yes,
How much were we paying the city attorney before? Do we know how much we were paying them?
I believe 160 an hour. Does that sound right?
That sounds,
But do-
165
do
an
you have
hour.
Any idea what for the year?
I actually have those numbers there in the packet. I think, I can tell you in terms of the previous legal team, it was 200,000 one year, 85,000 the next year, and I think for Mr. Albritton, it was somewhere around 200,000, and then 105 for the next year, and
Okay.
200,000 of that. One year was the bond counsel that was included in there.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other public comment? Hearing none, city manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Parno.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell.
Yes. Okay, so that passes. Moving on to new business. Item 13, discussion and possible approval of addendum number 1 to the current contract with Crowder Gulf Joint Ventures Incorporated to include specific guidelines regarding the asbestos abatement process for approved Ppdr properties. And the city manager has a report.
This was just an addendum we left out of this project that we're working on. When we meet with all the prospective contractors that are involved, one of the things I think that the county did in Panama City as well is that following our guidelines to make sure that we're getting the very best deal, that we're asking Crowder Gulf to go out and actually get 3 quotes so that we, the city, can see the quotes, choose the lowest quote, and then send them back out for abatement. So this just needs to be added in there, that they get 3 quotes according to our procurement guidelines.
So moved.
Motion,
I made a motion.
Yes, we have a motion. I'm sorry. Yeah, we have a motion.
Yes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion with the commission? Sorry. No discussion with the commission. Is there any public comment? Hearing none. City Manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Parno,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell.
Yes. Approved. Item 14, first reading of ordinance 1099, large-scale future land use map amendment from traditional neighborhood development to mixed use, Mill Bayou. First reading by title only, no action is necessary. City Planner, I believe you have something for us?
No.
Oh, so, City Manager, would you please read the title?
An ordinance of the City Commission for the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, amending the adopted comprehensive plan, providing for purpose and intent, providing for a title, amending the future land use map for traditional neighborhood development TND to mixed use for 2 parcels of land located on Highway 389, which is approximately 57.14 acres within the city, as more accurately described within the body of the ordinance, providing for severability, providing for a copy on file, and providing for an effective date.
There's no action required on this, but is anybody wants to make a comment? Is any public comment? Yes, sir, Mr. Walker.
One question. Is this the one that was sent to forward to DCA and EPDP and everything like that?
Yes.
Did they have any comments back?
We heard back from 2 of the reviewing agencies. FDOT had no problem with it. I'm trying to remember who the other agency was, but we had only heard from 2 of them, and neither of them had any comments. Really, they were both okay with it. And when I bring it back to you for the second reading in the public hearing, I will have those comments. I think they're actually in your packets, but I will have that information for you then.
Amanda, can I ask her a question? Are we still dealing with the same owner of this property, or has it been switched?
Gordon Thames is the one who submitted the application, the gentleman who wanted to build the apartments.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other public comment? Okay, moving on. Let's see, item 15, discussion and a possible approval of development order application for Ascension Sacred Heart Freestanding Emergency Department at 3135 Highway 79, and this is a quasi-judicial hearing, so I believe you need to take care of it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Anybody intending to present testimony, raise your right hands. Do you swear and affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you. And I'll ask for disclosures from the commission. Have there been any ex parte communications on this issue with anybody?
I've had none.
I've had none.
I've had none.
I've had none. And for clarification, I actually said 3135 Highway 79. I apologize. It's 3135 Highway 77.
Yes.
Ms. Richard?
So this is a development order application for Ascension Sacred Heart Freestanding Emergency Department. The applicant owner has requested the approval of a development order for the construction of an emergency department on the 6.77 acre vacant property located at 3135 Highway 77, parcel number 11821-000-000. The emergency facility is going to be located south of the Social Security Office with supporting emergency vehicle access, parking, stormwater facilities, and utilities. The development order application and site plans were reviewed in accordance with state and city requirements and were found to be in compliance. I also wanted to mention that it was brought to my attention that in your packets, for some reason, and Ben had said, I don't know if it's the same for all of you, the renderings, the architectural renderings, didn't come through. You didn't have the whole of the rendering, so I have them. Do you want me to pass them around? Would you like to see them? For some reason, apparently, they were portions of the building cut off.
While you're reviewing those, the commission have any questions for Ms. Richard?
They're in there, they're just.
I think
Let's
it's
take a minute, let's,
yeah.
yeah, I've seen them.
We do have representation here from Panhandle Engineering, who submitted the plans, and also Chris Short from Dewberry, who is our reviewing engineer for stormwater and utilities.
Thank you. So if we have no questions for the, for Ms. Richard, what is the,
I
would-
make the motion to approve.
A
we have a
second?
motion and a second. Is there any discussion with the commission? Any discussion with the public? Yes, sir.
I'm gonna keep my mask on. This has had 25 people talking into it. I appreciate it on behalf of Ascension Sacred Heart, the opportunity to bring something to the community. This is a 15,000 square foot freestanding. It's a regional ambulatory trauma center. The property's big enough, and we've master planned a 12,000 plus square foot medical office building on it. So it's good things for Lynn Haven, good for the community, and I appreciate your support.
Any other public comment? Hearing none, City Manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Parno,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell.
Yes. Okay. Moving on to item 16. Discussion and possible approval of a development order application for C-Store 1404 and 1314 Georgia Avenue. This is a quasi-judicial public hearing, so City Attorney, would you please?
Yeah, anyone who's already been sworn in may remain sworn in. Do we have anyone who will present additional testimony on this issue? No? All right. Any disclosures that need to be made of the commissioners?
I've had none.
I've had none.
I've had none.
And I've had none.
Thank you.
Ms. Richard?
This is a development order application for a C-store, a convenience store and gas station. The applicant owner has requested the approval of a development order for the construction of a convenience store on the 1.62 acre vacant property located at Georgia Avenue and Highway 390. Parcel numbers 10116-000-000 and 10117-000-000. The request is for the approval of the development order for a 5,490 square feet convenience store with 6 covered gas pumps and supporting infrastructure. The development order application and site plans have been reviewed in accordance with city and state requirements and were found to be in compliance. The stormwater facilities will be privately maintained. And I also want to, I didn't mention with the last one, but this application and the Ascension Sacred Heart application went before the Planning Commission on September 1st, and they all recommended approval. And again, I don't think that you got the all of the renderings, the picture of it, which I have put somewhere. Here it is. And while you're taking a look at this, again, we have the reviewing engineer and the submittal. I don't know if we have the submittal engineer here. If you needed some, specific questions, I'm going to pass this around. So this is what it's going to look like.
While you're looking at it, does anybody have any questions for Ms. Richard? I'd just like to state, I like the concept that we're going to actually have a convenience store on the west side of 77 that residents can go to with their golf carts and not have to, fight the traffic on 77.
And Mayor Pro Tem, if I could add to that, this is positive. This is all growth. We're talking about, millage rates and all this. The way you get those rates down, it's kind of like the 2 ways to pay off debt, right? You either spend less or make more, right? Well, we're making more as the population grows, so to speak. There's more revenue coming in. So this is an exciting time for all of us, and I'm thankful for the hard work that you guys are putting in.
Thank you. And I would like to also mention that we have had more development order applications this year than we have in any recent years. We've been really busy. So although we've had the pandemic and everything, we haven't slowed down when it comes to people wanting to come to Lynn Haven and have businesses in Lynn Haven. We've had 17 development orders this year.
Wow.
Yeah, we ran out of budget as far as public noticing. Our public noticing budget had to be increased for next year because we ran out of money for the public noticing.
That's a good problem.
Yes.
Great
Yes.
problem.
So,
So moved on approving the DO.
okay, so we have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion with the commission? Any discussion with the public? Make sure I can see Mr. Walker back there. Okay. Hearing none, City Manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Parno,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell.
Yes. Very good, it's passed. Thank you,
Mayor,
Ms. Walker.
Mayor
or
Pro
Ms.
Tem,
Richards.
can I just ask one thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Last time we had a meeting, I had the Mylar for you to sign for what had been approved a few weeks prior, but, had got left in the car. We have the second Mylar for the other, the replat of Parkview Townhomes Phase 1. We have that, I think Julie has it in the office. So again, at the end of this meeting, if you wouldn't mind all staying here so that we can get that signed, that would be great.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 17, discussion and approval to authorize the city manager to execute the Panhandle Engineering task order for the design of plans, preparation of bid documents, and bidding services for 4.59 miles of city roadway repairs once the FDOT legislation pavement agreement is completed. It's a mouthful.
It
Yes,
is a
sir.
mouthful. I'm Chris Forehand. What you have before you is a proposed task order for the design of approximately 4.5 miles of roadways, and these were roads that were damaged as a result of Hurricane Michael and the excessive loads from all the debris trucks and excessive traffic. And if you recall, this is partially funded by a legislative appropriation of $1 million, and then you also, I believe you voted to match that with another $1 million from your half-cent surtax. Also included in there is a list of those roads, so if you have any questions about those roads specifically, Mr. Baker and I looked at our original study that we started for the city about 3 years ago and looked at the roads that were left, some of the ones that had the high level of service on those roads and that were the most damaged, and then also the ones that we did not have any planned utility improvements for. So,
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for
I just have
city engineer?
one or two questions for you, sir. On Virginia Avenue, it's goes to, does that go to 11th Street or 12th Street? Is it?
I don't have it in front of me, but if you look
I
in
see
the,
it-
in the
it-
body, it tells you from which street,
Oh,
where it starts to it ends.
It looks like it goes from 6th to 11th. And Virginia's gonna curl into 390, isn't it, at that,
Yes.
14th Street?
Yes,
Will that be taken up to meet that, or?
it will.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. And then, I had a previous conversation with you this today when and I just wanted to know if you would, recap for everyone in the audience how we were gonna do the Mosley Drive, because it seems like the Mosley Drive, project is gonna, in the Minnesota area there, when you repave, is gonna be being done around school hours, so you had.
Yes, and what we talked about earlier today, we would look at requiring the contractor to not start new construction until school's in. So after, say, 8 o'clock, whenever they start, and then they would have to end all operations before school got out. So then we may talk to the school about possibly, not allowing the kids to leave for lunch, during those few days that we're working on Mosley Drive.
Construction area.
Correct.
And I don't think this Mode School Road doesn't run by the school on that project, I don't know.
It does.
It does, okay.
It does, so you may have the same issue, except you don't have as much
You
traffic.
don't, yeah, at that time of day.
Any other discussion or questions for the city man or for the city attorney? Thank you.
That's you.
Yeah, I'm getting them all mixed up tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to point out that I had a discussion with the city manager about this project as to how it relates to the procurement of this deal. I was concerned that we may be trying to piggyback off of an existing contract with an existing contract that we've done business for in the past. I was assured this will be going out as a new contract. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that. And I don't know if you want to add anything to that, city manager, but I just want to make sure that we're clear this will be a fresh new contract.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion with the commission? Any discussion with the public? Hearing none, city manager, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Russell.
Yes, thank you. Motion approved. Item 18.